Welcome back, everybody, once again to VCT EMEA. I am your host, Ying, so I've got Kakuka Billy here back with me and joined by Boaster. First of all, massive congratulations. I had a quick chat with Crashies out there. He said all the vibes are great, everyone is happy. Minnie was saying how it was never like that when he was there. So can you confirm or deny that it was Minnie was the reason that the vibes are now better?
I mean, you know Minnie, he's like a ray of sunshine. Every day he skips into the office. But no, the vibes are really good. And the vibes were good last year, just not as good. I think this year, I don't know, we're just in a good space.
Okay, we'd love to see that. It's also, you know, finally good to see you in the Breach Tejo synergy that we've been seeing a lot. Is that something that we are going to see much of, or are you being tamed? Like, on a scale from 1 to 100, like in percentage
Are you fully in the meta,
or are you being tamed?
No, we're pretty tame right now. Yeah, we could be though, but we have tried it on maps, but on some maps, like Split for instance, we tried it, and it just didn't feel right. I just love double dive too much, and like send Alfia and Kayak in. So
sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the nice changes that Crashies being on the Tejo, you know, instead of Alfia, we all wanted to see that. And Crashies is just rolling back the years. What happened? How has he come out the door swinging? And he's got more kills than Alpha, more kills than Kayak. He's out here looking like envy Crashies.
Yeah, that frag right there, actually, I thought that was Alpha.
You didn't realize it was Crashies?
I didn't realize it was Crashies getting those kills. And then Crashies was like, I owned it that round. I was like, what did you do? And I was like, oh, that was Crashies. But yeah, he's been playing phenomenal. Even in scrims, actually, he's starting to pop off, which is always a good sign. I think when it came to before kickoff, we didn't see crazy pop-offs from him. But since then, we've seen a lot of pop-offs. I think he's found his kind of structure, and he's got a good routine right now and good habits. And it seems to be working.
And Kayak as well, that was a quieter last map from him. What was the decision behind the Neon?
On Kayak is like, okay, ignore the first half, but Kayak is really good on Neon.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what happened on the attack side, but I think potentially it could be the strategy's not fully helping him out. Is that what I look like? Damn! Like, shit! No, I'm joking. But, no,
You're on
Kayak,
your own there, mate.
Yeah,
You're on your own.
Yeah.
You're on your own. Well, we're going to put a pin in that real quick because we have a podcast, if you guys didn't know. So make sure you check that out on YouTube. But for now, this is what Lohan had to say about their new addition to the roster. I need to just address, I think, the biggest piece of news that's come out of all of this, which is you will be making a bit of a roster change going into stage 1. So, Lohan, I'm just going to come to you for this. What was the reason behind this? And of course, who is the new player joining you guys?
Yeah, so the new player joining will be Serial. It's from Tier 2, from the Spanish League. The reason for the change, I mean, it was mostly due to what we are looking for as a team. It felt like we're missing something, especially like in terms of utility usage. At times, it felt like we didn't have the correct options there, and we were looking. We did trials. We're not 100% sure if it was a change that we wanted to go with. But then we tried Serial, and it felt like it just clicked overall with the team. And yeah, that was the main reason.
How many options did you have? Who did you look at? Because there's not many, right, at this point of the season.
Yeah, at this part of the season, it was actually hard to find options. We trialed Ninja from the academy. He did well, to be honest, but I think it was still a bit too early for him. And we trialed Scream as well.
That's a throwback. Yeah, that's a bit of a throwback. So you had all the 3 players, right? You just tried 3.
Yeah, we tried those 3 players. Obviously, Scream, it was a different profile. We're just testing a different type of playstyle there to see if there was any potential. And in the end of the day, we just decided to go with Serial, which we felt it was the better option. Yeah.
I am so excited to welcome yet another new face to VCT EMEA. Serial, welcome.
Thank you, I'm glad to be here.
How long have you been in Berlin for? When did you actually join Liquid to come and scrim together and everything?
I think I've been in Berlin since the 17th now. So it's quite recent, actually.
Yeah, it's very, very recent. Now, for people that don't know you, would you be able to introduce yourself a little bit? You know, where are you from? What made you kind of decide to compete in Valorant?
My name is Serial. I'm the new 5th player for Liquid, and honestly, Valorant's always been a hobby of mine, and I've played it a lot. I've tried competing. It's been up and down. but I'm glad to be here.
This is the ultimate up though, right? The
This
ultimate
is a
up.
big jump from my past, yeah.
How big of a jump do you think this will be? Have you been watching, you know, Tier 1, EMEA? How are you feeling now you've had a few days with your teammates and practicing together?
I'm feeling really good. I couldn't have asked for a better team to mentor me and gain experience from. And it's definitely going to be a big jump, and it just depends how I'm going to be able to handle it. But I'm confident, I'm excited, and I'm ready.
What do you think you bring to a team like Team Liquid?
Consistency.
Ooh, on the server, off the server, everything?
Everywhere.
Consistency?
Consistency.
Okay.
Like an anchor.
Oh, that's a great
Hold
answer.
the team down.
That's a great answer. Now, I'm glad you used the word anchor because obviously you and Nats play very similar role, very
Yeah.
similar agents. So how are you guys maneuvering around this? Are you expected to role swap?
I am going to be swapping roles, yeah.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
learning new agents. I'm learning new things about the game, and it's been going really good so far. I'm
And
excited.
You're comfortable
Yes.
with this decision?
I've had great coaches, great people helping me, and I'm as comfortable as I could be.
I'm getting like a you're really happy vibe off of you. You're just happy to be here. Is that
I
fair to
am.
say?
Yes, that is very fair to say.
Have you ever played on a stage before in front of
No.
an audience?
No, this is going to be the first time for everything.
What
First
are you-
time in the studio, first time on stage,
Oh, wow.
in boot camp, everything.
What are you expecting from that stage? Because obviously a lot of great players have been on that stage and you're going to be facing
Exactly,
some of
yeah.
them today. So what are the expectations?
For myself, I'm trying to keep them normal. I'm not trying to put myself up too high or down. I'm just going to play my game, how my team wants me to play, how I want myself to play. And then I'm just going to
Just going to own. You're just going to own. You're going to pop off. I
Exactly,
love
yeah.
that. And last question, are there any players or teams you would like to have a chance to face up against on this stage?
That is a good question. Honestly, I'm happy against the matchup we have today.
Yeah?
There's a little bit of stirring around it from the past. So
Yeah. Tiny
I
bit of a
think
grudge
today's going to be a good match.
Okay, I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
me.
you.
Such mature answers coming from Serial, but he's under a lot of pressure because Kakuka, first time on stage, first time in front of an audience, and you're playing a different role. It's not easy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited to see what that different role is going to be. I assume, you know, taking a little bit of the responsibilities that Kamek had. We had some surprises on all the changes that we've seen so far. We saw earlier this week how Sevov was debuting there on Vitality. So I wonder if we're going to see some mix and match also in the side of Team Liquid.
Yeah, he was hinting at a little bit of history just then as well, and I think that's perhaps because he has played against Mini on the other side in the past, so it's nice to see him kind of bring that up, and I'm glad it's not Nats that's having to move off of role, because we saw the amount of value that he's been able to bring, especially at the recent Masters. Like, he was performing incredibly, but I just think, how is Serial going to actually be able to adapt from Tier 2 to Tier 1?
And the grudge there, I think what he was mostly alluding to is Kamek leaving, you know, going instantly to Gentlemates as well. We have to address this because I don't think a lot of people expected this from a team straight out of Bangkok. And, you know, we've heard a lot of discourse. Some people think it's not a great idea to make roster changes here. Some people do. Where do you sit on this topic?
I think if there is a problem within the team and you want to get it solved, swapping out one player isn't the end of the world. It's quite easy to introduce that new player to a roster and get him comfortable in time. Obviously, they just came back from Bangkok, so they didn't have a lot of time. 2 new maps. 2 new maps? Yeah, 2 new maps.
2 new maps, yeah. You didn't play them today, but it's all good.
I think,
sad.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, and also, I mean, with the highlights you're seeing here is probably not going to be the agents he's going to play at all, because let's be honest, why would you make Nats, of all people, role swap when you sign somebody? But the help that he spoke about, you know, from the coaching staff, from his teammates, this is going to be something that's very, very important today.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was fragging out in the Spanish league in Ryzen there. So we've seen these players come out from Tier 2 before. We get very excited for this. And I think that I'm seeing a lot of what we saw earlier in the week. I've seen him pretty comfortable, pretty tame, pretty calm for everything that is at stake. It's not that you're slotting it into any roster. It's a roster that has already been in Bangkok this year with very high expectations for themselves.
Well, let's talk about Kamek, because you've played with Kamek.
Yeah.
So tell me, you know, what he brings to a roster and how could he maybe make Gentlemates a little bit better?
I think Kamek has lots of raw firepower. When we played with him on stage, he played that Cypher. He had to swap roles essentially to play with us, and he was able to shoot when he was actually anchoring this B site on split, which is crazy. And I think yeah, he brings a lot of hype to a team as well. But that's all I know. he plays Osu, but I don't like that. So like we move on from there. It's too noisy.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for that.
You know what? I think Kamek had an okay performance at kickoff. I think one of his tails was probably one of the best that we had got to see, right? He was doing a lot of set things, and he had said, oh, I like playing it in ranked, so that was kind of understandable. But I think for me, him being the replacement of Robbie BK is a big question mark. And, you know, Robbie BK didn't always have the most consistent performances in kickoff, and I can also kind of say the same for Kamek, so I'm a little bit concerned there.
I mean, I think that this is probably the first time that we have this happening. A player going into a different roster in between the kickoff and split one, and the first match that they play is against their team. Definitely the stakes are super high because of what it could mean for Gentlemen to even win this game. But for him personally, it's kind of a slap in the face of you let me go, and if there is a team that I want to win against, it's definitely you.
And if it's the Kamek that I know, he's going to be fired up. There's no way that he's going to sit there being like, oh, you know, I don't mind what's going on here and there. But I'm glad you mentioned that he's replacing Robbie BK.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't think Robbie was the issue. You know, it's the IGL, and you never want to kind of see that, you know, kind of change coming through after just one split. As an IGL yourself, Bosa, because Mini, not Coach Mini from Gentlemates Mini, will be taking over that IGL duty. How big of a task do you think this will be for Mini?
I think it's a big task. I think most people don't understand how much work an IGL should put in, and that's out of the server as well, in terms of atmosphere and stuff. And so Robbie BK obviously set up the kind of basis with the coach, and now Minis has to take over, but it's going to be a completely different style. Is the team, and also Mini's going to be overwhelmed when he's playing the games now. And from what I've seen in scrims from them, they're not looking like amazing, but they're definitely looking like they can win today. But from what I've seen of Liquid, they look different gravy.
In scrims?
Yeah, they're looking a bit juicy, actually. Yeah.
Oh,
That's good.
Yeah, that cereal guy is actually looking juicy. I saw him sheriff us. He got a 3K sheriff. I was like, I'm out of here, mate.
damn.
got egoed.
Yeah, but the Scrims Cup is a different kind of tournament that we've also heard of. When we speak about the time and also everything that goes into being an IGL, I wanted to ask Gokid, like, how long have you been practicing with this? Because we also had earlier this week the topic about Apex and them not having a lot of time to practice. And he told me that even before they decided to remove Robbie BK, he was already starting to IGL for a couple of weeks. So this was a decision that was made on the stance of first we move Mini into the IGL and then we replace the IGL.
Yeah, and I mean, Mini, a very capable player too. I want to see him IGL on that Yoru. I think that will be
Abyss is not here anymore, though.
But he could play Yoru anywhere else. But the problem is, this change, maybe they're doing this because the stakes, Billy, is just so high. They are one of the teams that could, they are definitely in risk of potential relegation.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to raise. When we think about Mini moving on to that IGL role, they need to be making changes. They need to be kind of figuring out their identity for this year, and they need to do it early on because, as you say, they could be facing relegation.
Especially with the team that they have a very good chance to accumulate a lot of points during this split. And if you're a Gentlemates, you have to set the stakes of not even like having a good performance throughout the split. You want to go to those tournaments. I think that you can aim to make those breakthroughs.
And in terms of you know, what we see behind us, because if they just make champs, you know, just make champs, as if that's an easy thing, everything will be Gucci. How hard is it to make champs?
Oh,
You made everyone.
Yeah.
You made everyone.
No, I mean, we made one because
Which one was the
Gambit
hardest?
decided to win against Crashies actually in the final. So hallelujah, Berlin. But no, I think it's very difficult to make champs, especially now as well. Every team has like got these players that are so hungry, and it's the individual firepower is crazy. Alfie is saying he's old, yet he's the youngest player in our team. It's
He's
like
19,
kind of that,
though.
yeah, it's that level of like the players here that they're bringing out. I'm like, where's this cereal kid come from? Why can't I eat him like I do in breakfast? You know, like what's going on? But yeah, and that guy's got a deep voice. I will say it now. Patty Tack with a mustache.
Patty Tech with a mustache. Okay,
Yeah.
he's just cosplaying. He's cosplaying. We got 2 patties on stage today. You guys have cereal for breakfast? How am I supposed to just?
We'll go
I
back
don't
to the
even know
champ.
how to
Champs is
respond
hard.
to that. Yeah, I never had.
I don't
cereal for
remember the
breakfast.
last time I had cereal.
Or breakfast. I don't have breakfast.
No, probably
Yeah.
when we were in Bangkok, like traveling somewhere, and in the morning I was like, what do I want? This and tea, probably.
Yeah.
I think as well, though, he has to be great for Team Liquid to have made a change, right? Because they just got back from a Masters event, so he's obviously a great addition.
Thanks for bringing this back down to earth, Billy.
Yeah,
Honestly, I was like racking my brain thinking, how do I make this relevant? But here's the thing, with the recent roster moves, we could potentially have a grudge match on our hands. Returning from Masters Bangkok, here is Team Liquid taking on Gentlemates. In case your name is Boaster or anyone else that's wondering, that is not Patatek with a mustache. That is their new player, Serial. And of course, Kamek no longer in a Team Liquid jersey, despite wearing it in Bangkok on stage. This is definitely going to be a grudge match. And Kakuka, talk me through the map, Veto.
Oh, yeah, so Team Liquid is going to ban the Pearl, something that they have done in the past. It was either that or Lotus. I expected Lotus to be banned, but Gentlemates is going to go for the Ascent. I thought that either way we were going to have Split or Haven, but really, really looking forward to see if we get to that Icebox. For Team Liquid, it makes a lot of sense. Gentlemates still has not played the Split, and for Maze, it was one of their best maps.
I think as well, we have to consider the amount of time that both of these teams have had to prepare, right? Mates got knocked out of kickoff fairly early, and Team Liquid just getting back from Masters Bangkok, so I'm not surprised to see them get rid of Pearl, considering that wasn't a great map for them during kickoff.
Yeah, and in terms of these three maps, bro, so you got any scrim?
Any lists?
Yeah, any, have you scrimmed them on these maps?
They can't hear it now, can they?
No, they
So
can't.
we're chilling.
They can technically
Scrim
hear
Liquid
it.
on Icebox.
Yeah.
They were looking kind of juicy there. I can't remember if I screamed Gentlemates on Split or not, but I know that Gentlemates do like a Haven. I think Haven's probably one of the better choices to play against Liquid, because I think sometimes Gentlemates, you know, they're a fresh team, they got those individual prowess players. Maybe Mini can set up some lurks and stuff, and he can really kind of abuse them if he's still playing the Cypher. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna see the agents in just a moment, but for now, this Split, we saw Liquid play it at Bangkok already. Do you guys think they've had enough time to change anything?
I wouldn't change anything, and I think that having Boaster here after the Split that they just played, them running that double duelist, seeing Kamo when you have Kiko, yes, he's great in the controller, but seeing him on a duelist is always a treat.
Yeah, let's take a look at the agent select and see what we are going to get here. If we're going to see some changes, we will from Gentlemates at least. They're bringing the Tejo. Boaster, what do you make of that comp?
The Teo comp, you know, you've got a lot of power to take middle and also power to retake that middle on defense. They're starting attack, so they need to be quite explosive and catch Nats off in vents, but Nats, knowing that, should probably maybe play be Heaven. And then it's just about waiting for those second rotation rockets if they decide to use them. We actually tried this comp on Split. I just didn't like it because it was quite hard to get the Teo rockets really have a lot of value on the attack side, you know, with the Raze solo diving in or something.
I think for me, the thing that I'm most excited about is this Mini and Nats head-to-head of those IGLs on the Viper, right? Can we expect to see that lurking IGL against one another? Yeah, that's the pinpoint for me.
Yeah, absolutely, and to see how the two new players are going to be playing. Well, the one new Serial also his debut on the Astra. I do not see any officials with him playing on this. I want to see how he merges into an already established plan from Team Liquid.
Yeah, and speaking about the Astra, solo Raze entering in, that Astra one, all it takes is one Astra suck and the XX over. So it's going to be really difficult for Gentlemates to kind of make space onto those A sites, hitting those sites straight on. So I think they will have to start opening up with B splits, you know, a little bit of ping-ponging left, right, not knowing for Serial to use his suck, you know?
Yeah, and it's not an easy agent to roll swap to, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think that on the other side, we're looking at this combo with the Breach and the Tejo to see if they're going to be able to spot him, if they're going to be able to put him in a difficult position, so Click does not struggle a lot getting into the side.
I feel confident seeing Serial on the Astra. I know that we're yet to see it, but I think he spoke so confidently in that interview where he said he's worked with a lot of coaches and developed as a player. So who knows? Maybe we've just got to see how it goes.
Well, we'll see how it goes indeed. For now, thank you very much, Bosa, for joining me. It's time to jump into game and throw this over to your casters. Here's Mitchman and Tombiz.
Thank you so much, Jinsu.
Minnie's here again as well.
Oh, there was no need for that, especially on a day like today. I did my hair up, so I'd have that little height advantage. Time to get into the game. Yes, indeed. I'm very excited to see what Gentlemates have been cooking throughout that offseason, but realistically, when we look over at the other side for Liquid coming in with a new player as well, what do you make of the fact that they're slotting him in right onto the Astra?
Yeah, it's always interesting when you bring in a new player, if you're going to reinvent yourself to sort of make them fit into the team, or if you're just going to plug and play. And in this map, at least it looks like a plug and play. As was said by the desk, not something that we particularly see Serial play, especially recently. He's been on the Sentinel, but I assume that is he was brought in as a flexible player. He's played a lot of roles in the past, so I'm not too worried. Also, interestingly, Ateo brought in a not Kamek.
We'll see if that comes back to bite them. We've already seen barriers go up and an early flash in with a lot of presence from Gentlemates towards this B site. Salvo's gone in, not finding the value they needed, and the nade does for Kiko. It's Team Liquid with a double opening and an immediate stagger of this push from Gentlemates. They'll now have to wait this one out. Still a paranoia, and the stun will come back online, but with the Viper wall already placed, feels like they're kind of pigeonholed into this take.
It's definitely a rough position. If you go forward, you're going to be struggling to find too much, although saying that, they have managed to get at least a little bit of extra ground, the flash through, along with the paranoia, but no one's actually capitalized off it. Mini, though, there he is. Spoke about him. Not quite the one I was thinking of, but that's a huge couple of kills to get them back into the round.
Yeah, this one's definitely standing tall with those picks and a third under his belt. Gentlemates have recovered beautifully, and now the push down below, they are revealed, so a good idea, and a stun followed through. Slow down that peak from up top. The star doesn't catch. Kamek does, and Mini picks up his 4K. What a way back in for Mates. They started this one out losing the initial push, but they made the best of a bad situation with the breach flash and the paranoia from Kadavra.
But the fact is, though, I feel like the peak was actually after both of those abilities had stopped having any effect. It was kind of just Mini being crazy. And that's the thing, you go back to the matches that they won. I'll say it was versus Apex and Koya. You can take that how you like. He was incredible. Like, he was genuinely the best player in the server. I came into today and went, can this guy IGL and still put up those numbers?
Cover going out.
Question answered in round number 1.
Well, this game is on him. At least so far it is. That was his round. Mini with a 4-piece, Gentlemates with a round as a result, and Team Liquid on this defense left with nothing. The bank's being broken into, and as we can see for Team Liquid, they've managed to scrounge together a couple of pieces that were left behind. No gold bars, but a few coins spent still. They'll try to take advantage of this with a stack up on A and a Viper wall to cover them. It seems like Gentlemates are walking into it, and with this aggression that's already come down mid, they fully cleared it, and we'll soon see B main is open. So a utility on the A side, ready and waiting. Gentlemates about to run into it.
They can look to bolster this up. Try and get that fourth player into position. Oh, it's definitely a bit awkward. That hasn't gone exactly to plan. In fact, they've lost the second already. I think that is at least one of the rifles down on the deck. Luckily, Kamek is there with the second. This battle versus Padatek could make the round interesting, but Mini's won that. And while what was a very dangerous situation eventually ends up clean enough.
Yeah, Mini even makes it back to site in time. If they picked him off, would have been at least another weapon on the floor. Damage, though, decent. Round like this, the snake bite that was thrown out was very nice, too. Zipan running in just as the star had faded. The grab wall no longer online. He thought he had free space, but once you run through a wall into a snake bite, you're not going to have a good time when the pistols get eyes on. A 2-0 start still for Gentlemates, recovered before this got too dire. Team Liquid with a full investment after playing that eco previously. A couple light shields bouncing around, but full utility for the most part. Early push by Click, and he'll pay for that.
And it seems like his plan on a lot of these rounds is to just have no fear. Like, just go diving into positions. In the last round, obviously, you have a huge weaponry advantage, but in this round, not so much the case. I think we've seen that Click is a confident player both within and out of the server. Question is, though, can they find anything more? That was one of the rifles, by the way. I think that might even be both of them now. The Bulldog's still in hand, but at least that Phantom is still dropped in bottom mid, so there's not really anywhere near as much to play with as they had at the beginning of this round.
Trade-off. Not even coming in the forms of picks, a bit of map control that's being conceded, as we can see. Team Liquid with a very passive approach, and a lot of this comes down to knowing that that utility is likely to be fired in if they were on site. The stun will buy some time, it will isolate Camo on the site, and they'll find the pick as a result, catching a headshot, but not the kill on the walkout. Makiko taking Kata. This one looks very difficult indeed. Kamek finds the one, finishing Patatek's low HP off, and Team Liquid get themselves around 2-1.
Yeah. I think there's some quite clear talking points when it comes to this series, and one of them, more interestingly for me, is going to be when we do finally head into that second map. Kamek was the guy who was basically picking up that Teo all the way through, and I'll say across that map he was their best player. So I now want to witness what's going to happen for Mates. Like, how are they going to switch things up? Are they going to give him that control, give him that position? And then for Serial, is it going to continue to be the plug and play? Are they going to try and put him into that role? Because I feel like the way Kamek played it was both very good with the utility, but also aggressive around it. And I feel like that's where a lot of people have struggled a little bit more, especially when you go back to kickoff. And well, someone that hasn't had heaps of time to work things out with the team is going to be Serial, because the team was at Masters.
Yeah, playing catch-up perhaps. For Gentlemates, early salvos put into B. That's not where they're looking to take it. It's a slow approach, maybe hoping that would find them an early pick. I see they used their stun as well, presumably on that same spot. Like Boaster said on the desk, it can be hard to find the value with those rockets. So far, that's certainly been true for Gentlemates as the salvos don't land for those early kills, but we'll see about the later round. Of course, they're going to come back up online alongside the stun. Still the nade for Click as well. Paranoia for Kata. A lot of good initiation utility for this side. The creep up by Mini on the other side of the map, using his wall to cross. He'll try to be a menace in the late round, I thought, but the fact that he's showing here, maybe he wants them to rotate in. He wants to sell that A-fake.
30 seconds left.
Zero actually isn't the best eventually. We'll peek back out, look to delay. Salvos to the back of sight, and a lurk coming through from Mini, maybe trying to catch players out. Zipan those done well. Playing that entry role, but Kiko still sits within this site. 14 seconds left. They have to try and get that planted, and now the full force of this Liquid roster into position, trying to basically swarm out. Gentlemates, exactly what they've done, leaving just one standing, and this time, well, it is the match of Vipers, but Nats will take control.
Well, we didn't know if it'd be Nats or the clock to put an end to that round, but there was an end either way in favor of Team Liquid. And yeah, when you look at Gentlemates on the way through, you see these problems, right? When that utility doesn't connect, and when it's fired in the right direction, a Paranoia and salvos on this player. He has to run in the open, he's blind. Well, Serial just popped the smoke, and that's gonna cancel out. Even though they get the kill, following up on that space, you're running through a smoke on both in the main choke, and then you're inside it. You got to pick an angle to emerge from. It's not an easy scenario, and it slowed them down enough that, well, there were plenty of bodies on that site ready for the push to come through. For Gentlemates, a very weak investment this time. A single upgrade from a pistol, and even then, it's only the Stinger in the hands of Click. Ultimates, I mean, there is a Rolling Thunder, one away from Armageddon, but really, we need to see a post plant before they'll think about putting those through. And picks unlikely to be given. Again, the respect the Team Liquid are giving them on the site is clear.
Spike planted.
Off your feet! That's immediate. Using a couple of ults, maybe they expected a bit more to be invested into this round. The third ult! Okay, although this round is almost definitely going the way of Liquid, I'm surprised how much has actually been invested into this round. Oh. Not the prettiest of sprays, and well, the defusal has come in under their nose. They've managed to wipe out the entirety of the Liquid squad. It's a very peculiar round, but it has gone the way of Team Liquid.
Yeah, you could run that one another 2 times. I don't think I'd understand fully what was going on. You know, Rolling Thunder catching so many of, I think, their own players. Showstopper invested, big investment, but then the picks start going the other direction. Mini is just popping off. He said it was his game, and certainly there was an opportunity for him to have another screamer of a moment, but instead it's, again, stolen out from under them by the stick. Team Liquid, 3-2. You got to commend them for being able to take that across the line. Now, Armageddon thrown in on middle. That's the Viper's Pit that's being put into question, and Nats dropped. The pit is gone, and the reward for the side of Gentlemates is huge. That's an opening pick, and they've got a pit of their own if they get to a site, which now should be a little bit easier.
If anything, though, I feel like the ults have somewhat been the undoing of these squads. Almost caught out, but Serial hasn't found the damage he was hoping for. No lucky charms to be found this time, and unfortunately that means that they're now going to have to fall back out of the site. You mentioned that Viper's Pit, and honestly, from this stage, I think Liquid safe.
Planted.
I mean, just look at the credits. 500 between the 3 players that currently have rifles.
I think something else is actually fairly important to mention about how this is going. Like, obviously, 3-3, you might be thinking for Liquid, it's okay. Like, it's middling. But I want to talk about the fact that they're incredibly good when it comes to their attack side. Like, that's what this map really looked at. And you kind of expect it with this double duelist, what they'll be able to do. So I would say if you talk about maybe 5 rounds for Liquid in this half, I think they'll be quite happy. And like, to back that up, they even had a 9-3 attack side half versus Vitality. So you look at this now and you go, okay, level. That's absolutely fine. Like, I don't think Gentlemates will be too worried about it. But I want to see at least a victory in this half.
You see for a second when the stun comes in, he's thinking, okay, yeah, stun me. What are you going to do? Blast pack in? Come right on in. Armageddon. Oh, no. There's no way out. You're locked in. Beautiful utility usage. And well, the salvos might be hard to use. That ult a little bit easier. Good connection from Gentlemates. And now we start out round number 7. Investment from Team Liquid, but a lot of low buy. Yeah. They decided to sell a little bit more.
Yeah.
They're going to keep just the 2 sheriffs. So the saved weapons, no big investments to back them up. Of course, Nats had used his ult previous round, so it's not there anymore. And Serial's not going to be winning them around with a Cosmic Divide. At least I don't imagine he will. Gentlemates, it should be a much easier round. Already, though, the rotations are in.
There haven't been any real easy rounds so far, though. A lot of it seemingly has come down to big plays from the likes of Mini. Kamik is on 1 health, so yeah, there is absolutely no surviving that one. It's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, the way that this has started out is they've lost their breach player. And okay, sure, there's 2 weapons missing, but I think they'll take that over a player missing.
I think that's a worthwhile trade. Especially if they do decide to give up that space. You know, Gentlemates have a decision to make here. Zipan, he's a bit isolated. Imagine a player walks up ramp. It's a free kill. For now, he's selling that false information as the drone goes up into heaven. Team Liquid concede that space. Still 4 players around this A side, including the vent position being held by Kiko, and it looks like he has got some enemies at the gates. A big kill to start, but can't correct for the second. 3v4. But moving back to the A site, Team Liquid are still very much here.
Yeah, that's the problem. They didn't pull any rotations with even their fake. And while Paditek has done well from the site, again, we get down to the last few seconds, 12, to try and make their move. It's left all on Takada. A player coming in from behind, and that will be enough. Serial there to close it. A little bit hesitant, a little bit slow. And even just that opening pick, and it felt like that was enough for Team Liquid.
Really nice for Paditek as well. He's down on the site, and the idea of those salvos was, hey, let's force him out into the open. He goes out into the open, kills 2 people. So, yeah, you know, you got what you wanted, but not really the way that you wanted it to go down. The trade onto Camo as well kept that backside control and meant that they were focused on him while Serial came up behind in heaven. Clean play, and he did very well to survive there. If he goes down, this round's in a lot of trouble. That was him also coming into that round on 1 kill. So a little bit of activation for Paditek to build up that confidence. Now we come into this one, though. Team Liquid in with the full buy. Pretty comfortable. And on their opponent's side, after the loss, they're in a similar state.
I think Surprise actually, not going to take the orb? Yeah, there we go, okay. I was like, that's a free showstopper. Maybe they wanted to try and activate a little bit earlier, but it would have been peculiar not to get one of the most impactful ultimates in the game, unless you're unlucky, which we have very much seen over the last couple of days. Drone going to be utilized. Again, it seems like Mate's idea is this slow default. Right, play as a group, wait for aggression. But then the defensive side, even though they've got this double duelist comp, they're quite happy to sit passive.
So far, it's resulted in a close game, but for Mates, attack side split. They just want to keep on that slow grind, keep the numbers close. Right away, that showstopper's used up, and it's Serial that finds the rocket heading his way. Trade onto Nats as well. Backside fight goes Kiko's way. He picks up the first, but the stun is good. Teammates come rushing in from heaven, though. The cover is here, and there's nowhere to go, surely. But Kata, he slips out, manages to come from the shadows out on the A side and find himself a plant. From here, though, 3 players he's facing off against. They could group up, and that's exactly what they'll do. Approach this one together. Down towards the screens already. He's hearing one, but they're making it towards the site. They'll see it's a plant for heaven. Before that, they'll see Kata up there.
It's funny. This felt like the exact scenario that we saw yesterday with Avova. Like, they went the same way, they went the same angle, he takes the same fight, he just doesn't hit the shot. Like, it does feel so fickle with how these rounds can go, but yeah, I think at the moment, obviously one of the talking points is Mini as an IGL, and I would say it does seem like Nats' read and the overall just like communication between Liquid at the moment seems better. Like they have had, every time there's been a site take, I feel like there's been 2 or 3 players and another player already getting into position to try and help them out. And even if they're able to like, okay, we're gonna use the salvos to clear this position, we're gonna use like the showstopper in this case, it felt like, okay, even though we've cleared everything other than one spot, there was nobody ready to kill Patatek. Like, if you know backside is clear, you know close is clear from the showstopper, where's the second layer? It just didn't feel like it was there.
Well, maybe that's going to be where Gentlemates are taking things in the discussions they're having right now with the coaching staff. They've called a timeout. They look to touch base 3-5. Not a bad scoreline, and I guess the problem, though, is Team Liquid have really been heating up. They're putting together rounds with limited resistance.
And they're better on attack.
And exactly.
A lot better on attack. Like, that's the major thing. Is like, okay, sure, you've lost a player, but that player, for the most part, was playing your controller. I don't think Siri is going to have too much problems, like, placing down the smokes for a double dive of Camo Kiko. Like, I think he should be able to do that. But, yeah, realistically, I think Liquid are already in a fairly happy place. Obviously, they're going to look to get a lot more. It's their map choice, and coming up next is Haven, where we know that Kamik should be a threat to them, but I do think Gentlemates are going to need to throw in a decent half here. It looks like they're going for a much more direct approach, as they are all setting up outside A.
Well, maybe that's the solution, right? The slow defaults led to Team Liquid always having the rotations, having the bodies on the site before the push comes in. So this time they want a more direct approach. Still, there's a bit of a stagger and a rotation as a result. Kiko's going to be here, but it's Patatek as the front line of defense, and he is immediately shut down. The 1 kill, though. Kiko slips back onto the site. Mini is eagerly awaiting his arrival. Camo shuts down one, and it's the spike. A small delay that's put into play. It'll be retrieved now by Kata. The ult is seeking and finding all that info.
Still, it's a little bit awkward for the rest of the players to make sure every single angle is clear. Spike's still not down. They are within the site, all stuck behind. They have to try and peek together. Camo with a swift double will execute the remaining players. And yeah, although it started fairly decently for the side of Gentlemates, it's just that little bit of trickery from Camo buying them that extra time. And then I think it might have even been the realization of, okay, I've got my ult now. Now we have so much ready for that retake, I'm just going to play it safe. And I think, again, if you look back to his time on Koi, I think that's him leveling up. Because I think in the past he would have tried to put the world on his back and win them the game. Instead he's like, I've got some banging teammates, I don't need to do that.
That's it, him leveling up, and also just the team, the environment that he's in as well. That trust comes from seeing that you can trust your teammates again and again. Belief in the system that you're applying so far for Team Liquid.
And then he got the kills anyway.
Exactly, but you know, that's the lesson really. Patience, slow and steady wins the race. For Team Liquid, 6-3. building up a lot of rounds here on the defensive side, and mostly in a row. I think there's one round from Mates interrupting the streak from Liquid, so this attack side really starting to forget the taste of victory. This round is not likely to see much of a change. It is a very light investment. They're caught in the open. Those are some clean shots from Kiko. And Mates left in a 2v5. Blink and you miss the action in this round.
Still as sharp as ever. Thinking back to kickoff, I know it was a while ago, but we were talking about this guy as basically MVP. Like, the way he played on control, it was one of the reasons that Liquid got as far as they did. Also just leveling up as the tournament went along. I think them wiping the floor with Heretics was still a mass surprise, but you can tell that, again, a level up, because I think when we first saw him in the league, was very strong. But what he's currently doing right now is, yeah, it puts him with the best of them.
Well, some dangers coming into this round as well for Mates. They are investing. They're putting the credits on the line, but Kiko, after a couple of kills, he's got a showstopper online, ready to roll.
I feel like it's a hindrance if he's shooting like that.
Yeah. You just connect on the heads. I mean, it depends, though, Tom. If they're all grouped up, it could be a different story. Armageddon will be the signal that the push is coming in. He's safe, but salvos are going to fire that way. Nade is in as well. Showstopper fired just to delay. He's trying to buy time, using this for crowd control as rotations can come in. Camo playing towards the screens. And players out on rafters, it's Nats who's gone to help out with that side hold on the choke point. The problem is, it does leave Heaven a little undefended, a little open. And Mates are walking right into that empty space. Big pick from Mini.
It seems like he's almost become their entry fragger. This guy is playing that Viper, but it almost feels at times that the calling is around himself. Like, can I do this? Can I put the world on my back? And to be honest, in the rounds they've won, he has been a bit of a hero for them. This is so risky. 45 HP, I was gonna say, it needed to be an instant headshot. Doesn't manage to get the kill, and finally, we see the awakening of Click. A little bit quiet thus far, but if they can get the last couple of rounds, there's at least a good chance.
30 seconds
7 to
left.
5, nothing to turn your nose at. And of course, like I said, Team Liquid will feel comfortable with a cushion like this moving into the next half, but Mates, can't think about your opponent's strengths. Only their weaknesses. In zone, flawless though for Gentlemates. A good bounce back towards the end. Coming into this round, possible for some of their ultis to come on, and most importantly, their opponents don't have any. So, Mates, 7-5, very much doable. Here though, just great manipulation of the map, a good sense of the space that was being given up and how they were adapting to the presence being shown, taking that Heaven control, winning the fight out onto rafters, and resetting for the A side take. The Click made look easy. Again, he had a really tough performance. I think that was 2 kills from him, and he's up to 4.
Yeah, it's not been a great game so far, to say the least, and I don't know if it's going to get any better. I was going to say, how long does Eco wait? But of course, not wanting to lose any of that additional utility. Mini again on this hard lurk. At times, he's found gaps, he's found success, but just, again, this is what I'm talking about with these early rotations. Liquid are very happy to commit heavily to this side of the map, and I think Gentlemates have started to realize this factor. The problem is they're still holding some pretty heavy control around middle, so if they don't go back through the spawn, Liquid still have the info. It's not an issue for them. And it's the operator on that angle.
Out of charges.
Was.
It is.
Smoked out. Gonna creep his way back through. Shorty in hand, swaps over to the big old gun as the salvos come in. Not good for the kill. The Shorty comes out though as Click's baited in. He thinks it's an off on the other side, so he won't like the close range engagement, but he was primed and ready for it.
They put salvos behind, so they knew where he'd be.
Has to be stuck close. They had a read on the one long barrel, but not the 2 short ones. Team Liquid still keeping presence A. There was a chance here the Kiko was on the rotate, but he's going to be ready for a second run on this operator.
Whether they place... Ooh, I was going to say, whether they place the Rolling Thunder. There you go. He's used it immediately, because almost died seconds later. And that time is ticking again. This has been the problem for Mates. That clock getting lower and lower, and the spike down on the deck, it didn't even matter. An in-zone flawless to close out the first half of Mitch. As said, I think they're better on attack.
Yeah, commanding performance by Team Liquid in the first half, and if this is the worst of the 2 for them, well, it might already be time to think about Haven for Gentlemates. We'll find out how the second half fares after the break. Welcome back, folks. 8-4. Team Liquid with a strong opener on their worst half. Now moving on to the attack, it looks like Gentlemates are backed into a corner with only 4 rounds behind. A pistol could help set them back on course. And we'll see if that's what's meant to be. Mini was the one that was opening up with Flare, and Pizzazz, that pistol was beautiful from him. I think it was a 4K in the first round of the game, but let's see if they can replicate that success in round 13.
If anything, it should become a little bit easier for him with players walking into his setup, but at the same time, probably won't become easier for him because he's got to face off against that double duelist of Camo and Kiko with support from Patty. But what more can you realistically want already? I think that was a nasty tag onto Click, who now has to be a little bit more careful. I say that, I reckon he's going to go through this.
He's already passed the stun. I mean, they both are. They're so close, ready for the fight. But Kamek and Click are the ones finding the kills. Click was able to walk down the stairs there from up in B Heaven and claim that frag. Nats tries to recover on picks, but finds nothing short of a shot back from Zipan after his burst. And Patatek and Serial now have a 2 versus 4. They're on opposite sides of the map. The spike is at least under their control. We still have a Haunt, a Prowler to work with. 50 seconds on the clock for Patatek. It's a combination of wanting to keep this control. Well, I thought maybe waiting for Serial to wrap around, but they are just going to send this down 2 different avenues. It's a big risk. They'll have to win their ones.
The timing, well, the stun hasn't connected, and now for Serial, this becomes nigh on impossible. In fact, he's going to be spotted out by Zipan. Good response, an important pistol, a second one of the map for Gentlemates. And I had to sort of wait to see what they can build into this, because that's the thing, they won pistol second round, and after that it was very isolated rounds, a lot of it based off some individual brilliance here and there, rather than, I think, having that solid synergy over on the attack. As I said though, I feel like this composition definitely sells itself quite nicely for a defensive side hold. A lot of potential for these aggressive early starts, and then high potential for those retakes as well. And that's where I'm looking at Zipan, because we know he can be very aggressive on this map in particular.
Yeah, one of the other things, obviously, when you talk about mates, on the attack side, they wanted to be in post plants a lot to find value if they don't get the early picks, which they really didn't with that util. And the post plants were hard to come by. 1-to-1 trades here. Not ideal. That's a weapon picked up on the other side. A classic running through mid. Has just found a pickup in Heaven, and there is mistake after mistake with an outlaw picked up. Everybody's in danger. Those light shields might as well not be there. And so, it's Mini to do it all, and he will get nothing done. A pay-safe card Thrifty, and if this half was being set up to be difficult, this is just up the difficulty significantly.
Oh, I would call that a nail in the coffin. Oh yeah, but yeah, that's a nicer way of putting it.
That's the first. That's the first shovel on the coffin. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was so rough. I think that's gonna be one of those moments where.
Oh,
I'm not even going to try and guess what he said, because I'm reckon it's not safe for broadcast. But
well, do some lip reading there.
That's the thing. It's like you have to think of that moment from Kamek's point of view. Kiko runs up and just wrecks you with a classic, takes away a sniper, and then kills your teammate with it. It's got to be frustrating. Obviously, I don't know if there's any bad blood, but kicking someone after making a Masters definitely doesn't feel like it's a truly mutual decision. Allegedly. Nonetheless, you just look at the buy that then comes up for Team Liquid. They get to invest into remaining rifles. They still have extra cash for Nats and Kiko. And what's up against them? A singular Guardian for Mini. He basically just held on to some extra cash. And what's worse, I think the map gives it away. There is absolutely nothing on this B side of the map. A site was stacked, and the thing is, these steps will definitely be heard. That's why the pace has been picked up from Liquid. They will get into a post plant. That's gonna. Oh yeah. Whoops. Oh, okay. I did not expect it for this one. This is a 2v2. This round really should have been over, but somehow now we've got some weaponry retrieved. That same sniper that dealt death in the last is back in their hands again.
They've recovered it, but recovering the round's a whole different story. Those 2 rifles up against the clock. You know there's an Astra in play. Always the potential for the grab. Well, you might think he's playing the post plant, but he's still on site. Still, he will be caught. Mini, the hero of a few rounds so far.
All of them.
Comes back into play yet again. Clawing at these rounds. Clawing at the lead Team Liquid have built, and it's a gap of 3 with the pay save card Thrifty.
I'm perplexed as to how any of these fights could have gone in the other direction. Like, it looked almost so clean with the initial battle, but yeah, Kiko getting caught out. This shot was just nasty. I don't know, there's much in the second as well.
I have them in my pocket, guys.
Oh yeah, there was no worries in that round whatsoever. You got to look at the position though, right? Because you've got Nats waiting for that swing up in heaven, people are going out wide, knowing it's a weaker buy, and knowing that they want those players to be looking at the site, so Nats can get that easy backstab. But geez, that backfired with a couple opening kills going the other way. Team Liquid found themselves on a weak buy. Wall up, Stingers into the A site, and the plan, I mean, it might just be found for free, yeah.
This feels like NA. I never see this many Stingers in our region. It's not somewhere out there. Lothar might have a smile on his face, but I think it's the time. Already going to start ticking. A quick jump over. Well done from Kiko, getting 2 out of that. We could have the most horrible back and forth to start off this map, but Mini still standing. That at least gives me hope.
Oh, I was going to say don't do Kata like that, but well, Nats has done it for you. It's Mini left to do it all. The 1v3, the rifle in his hands, and credits good for him. Look, he's got 4K. Why is he not going for it? Well, look at the rest of his team. Kata, Kamek, and Click running it pretty dry. Zipan barely above 1K. It's time to save. That time was a while ago. For Gentlemates, that means conceding this round, and Team Liquid on double digits, closing in on that victory. And we know that this half not likely to slow down anytime soon.
Again, just a singular rifle starting things off, but then everything becomes these close-range battles. So they couldn't have played more into their hands, and I think that's just a complete oversight as to whether the remaining players are a mistake that, again, it's incredibly costly. Now, weirdly, we've kind of ended up with both teams having buys, which I wouldn't say it's the most orthodox way to get there. We have had some prison Valorant, gloves off, the last couple of rounds, fighting with shivs. But we'll see who comes out of top. Now the guns are in play. Obviously still, I think Liquid are favoured, but that hasn't meant much so far.
Poison's on.
Knocking on the doors of the B site by the looks of things. We can see that movement towards heaven. Showstopper popped. It's going to be hard to find a target, clearing out space down below. Nade does the same for heaven, but they're swinging through it. Playing ahead of the nade. Kamek has wrapped in. They have no idea he's here, but they clear it anyways. Patatek does remarkably well to find that. With Serial and Nats popping off, it's Zipan left alone. I respected that play from Kamek. I thought that could have been the round in their pocket with 2 or 3 kills once the smoke faded, but somehow, despite that space being clear seconds ago, Patatek was worried. Maybe he heard a step, whatever it was. It's left Zipan in a space where he cannot even save this weapon without a serious fight, and Patatek ain't letting it go. 11-6. Ult's online as well for Team Liquid. This is looking very bad for Gentlemates.
That's the thing. If you're ever going to question anything about Patatek's game, it's not going to be the fundamentals. I think that was just a little bit unlucky, really. Yeah, I don't think he would have seen him if he stayed in that corner just a little bit longer, but that's the thing. Patatek finds the most important kill of the round and a couple more to go with it. Gentlemate's taking a pause. I'll be honest with you, obviously the way that the game has gone with back and forth, thrifty rounds, you don't really want to call a pause because of it's like you can't really go, yeah guys, can you stop losing the pistols? Like that's not going to really help. But now this pause is coming in so late that I also worry if it's not going to work out for them, because you're sat there 11-6 down. Liquid are very strong in this attack. More importantly, they have 3 ults already online and Camo's 3 away. Sure, you have similar, you're getting very close to a lot of those ults, but I then look at it and go, okay, can Liquid cheese their way through 2 rounds? Probably.
You would think so.
Like Kiko alone could cheese them through 2 rounds.
You know, we're going to start this one off with Nats having a pit, and okay, I see Zipan 1 away from the Armageddon. I think back to the last half, and maybe that won't be as much of an advantage as you think, but harder to do when he won't be sitting inside of vents, that avenue. I mean, you can see you hit him with a stun. Armageddon's going to kill him 100% of the time. If it's used here for post plant, not quite so easy to find that kind of value. And for Team Liquid, that means getting boots on the ground probably puts them in a position to win. And so far, they've been pretty good at getting onto the site. Or just wiping Gentlemates out before that's even necessary.
Yeah, they've done it with stingers, they've done it with pistols. Maybe now Kada will do it with a Bucky. Not the greatest start, that's already the aggressive peak of Zipan. Solo fight in B main, he's dead.
And this round starts with A aggression, a Prowler going through, Yoru leaving the gate crash deep into the spawn so we can just go back a little bit later on. They want to fake out the A presence, and instead it works out as a fake on B because they get this opening pick that creates a vacuum that Gentlemates have to fill in. They don't have the info, and they're ready for a push to come out any second now. But instead, that pre-placed wall can now be used towards the A site.
Even Mini's gone over. They are full committed. Other than, well, I mentioned Kada Bucky. Probably be the greatest Bucky play we've ever seen. Now, luckily, he's not been hit by the Nightfall. First kill goes his way. Got a little bit of help from that Viper screen. Looking for a little more. Almost gets the second. It's a nice try.
It is, but
unfortunately, nice tries don't win anything.
Exactly. They need more in this round, Tom. More than just a glimmer of hope. They need those flames to be fanned, and I don't see anyone to do it. It's a Sheriff and a rifle picked up by Click, 2 away from the ult. But 4 players to find. He may need that showstopper, or this show will be over before they want it to be. Just 6 rounds on the board for Gentlemates, and nothing is going to change here. With Team Liquid pushing up to 12, they now have 6 chances on their favored side to take this across the line.
He's been looking comfortable. Normally, you'd look at this scoreline and maybe we'd talk about, okay, a couple of rounds goes the other way, it's a close game. If you win both pistols and you have 6 rounds, you've had a bad map. Like, this has not been particularly close.
Alone,
and that is...
You're alone! Again!
No, definitely no bad blood.
No,
none at all. They're besties, I'd say.
You can tell they're coming in here on good terms.
Oh, I love it. And I also feel like Patatek is one of those players where if he's gonna talk smack to you, you're hearing it, you're seeing it. You can see across the stage he's mouthed it off.
Oh, he's waiting until your eyes lock to start yapping. That's the guy we know and love.
I don't know if I'd want to see Kamik's face of this scenario, but maybe that'll happen eventually. It's already gone horribly. Shooting the clone, trades out. And while Kada was trying to potentially teleport in, he's not going to get there in time. This will just be for safety, making sure the entirety of the site is clear. The rest of the team just waiting patiently for that information to be had. In fact, they're even going to give the spike over to Camo just to make sure. Cosmic Divide making
Spike planted.
it definite that nobody can get any shots onto Camo. Well, they're looking for a hero again. I look to this man.
Snake bites landed at least, but look how many players are there ready and waiting. Team Liquid with a masterclass on Split. They've dominated from the get-go, and now it's on to Gentlemates' map of Haven. We'll see how this series goes, but first the analyst desk after the break.
Okay, boys, let's remember about what we spoke yesterday, what direction means for us. Direction is not us just throwing abilities, what we're gonna do with the ability, make a call around the ability. Let's be assertive, make a call, follow the call, we listen for the first call boys. Be next to each other always, 1-2, spacing, be always next to each other boys. Come in?
Red Bull gives you wings.